Okay, we're going to move on to another backing track now, and this is going to be a major blues. Now, if you don't want to get concerned with, you know, what extra notes that you can use, and you just want to work on the phrasings that we've worked on so far, no problem. You can use the scale, the minor pentatonic scale or the blues scale with the added E flat, and that will be absolutely fine. What you can do on this, you can basically add the major third when the A chord comes around. Okay, you can use that over there. Now, I could give you the whole format of the thing right now, but you know what I think is the most important thing with blues, and I have to say, I did learn this from Sean Baxter when we were talking about jazz blues, is just be able to try and hear the difference between major and minor as the chords go by, okay? When the A chord comes around, the root chord, you can play major. And then normally when the other chords, you know, being the D and the E, it's more minor. But that's not to say that you can't play the minor sound over the A, you can, okay? But as I say, I don't want to get involved in loads of theory or loads of stuff that's going to, you know, because I'm sure you're all sailing along marvellously so far. The best thing to do is just to crack on with the phrasing, and then that's really good, what's going to make it happen. Okay, so all I'm going to say to you do is regular scale, add the E flat, and now the major third, and you can add it up there if you want, or down there. So the three places that you can add it for the purpose of this is 6th fret on the G, 9th fret on the high E, and 4th fret on that A string there. So, okay, what we're going to do now is look at triplets. We've got a shuffle, a groove. Now, for those of you who don't know a shuffle, it's this kind of... It's that kind of groove. Still got the similar pulse, same pulse, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And we can still use the same phrases that we used before with a slight difference, which is what I'm going to tell you in a minute. But first of all, what I want to discuss is triplets. Now, triplets are 3 notes per beat. And when I say 3 notes per beat, I mean of the main beats. 1, 2, 3, 4. So if you remember when we did 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 hand, we had the main beats here on the left hand, and on the right hand we had all the ands. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, so what we have now is this pulse is the same, but we have 3 for every one of these. Okay? And the way that we count this is not 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 3, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3. It's 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, so I've got 1, here we go, a 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and. And if you want to put the name of the bar number on the front of the bar, you can. 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 2 and a 3 and a 3 and a 4 and a 3 and a 3 and a 3 and a 4 and a 4 and a 4. Okay, that's how it works. You count them like that: 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 2 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and so on and so forth. Okay, those of you who know find that hard tapping on your legs. I did play drums for a number of years, taught by the marvellous Bob Armstrong, so I probably had a slight advantage in the timing department than some people. So okay. Here we go. So we're looking at triplet licks, and I'm just going to give you a couple of real cheap ones that you probably already know, but it will give you an idea. And the first one is a regular kind of Chuck Berry. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 2, 3, 4. Again, we're making the lick fit the phrase. Okay, triplets, 3 notes per beat. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Another one would be, just for example, 1 and a 2 and a 1 and a... We can add a slight bend there if we want, which is just pulling off from 8 high E to 5 high E. And then bend this 8B, upper tone, catch that 5 high E, and then just pull off. And then that's a repeated lick that basically lasts for 2 crotchets, or 2 of the main beats. So it's 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a, but you're basically playing a 6-note lick. So it takes up 2 lots of triplets, and we just keep repeating it. 2. It's easier if I just play it. 2, 3, 4. 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a, okay, like that. Now, before I get into loads of other triplet licks, although I'll show you a couple of bending ones here. we bend the note up, release it and then pull off. 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a... Another way we can do this is sliding up to the flat 5. 1 and a 2 and a... Sorry, 1 and a 2 and a 3. This note that we're sliding from is just really a grace note. The main 3 notes are... Okay, and what I'll do is I'll actually do a couple of demonstrations and then I'll come out with them, and if I come out with any good ones I'll tell you what they are. Now the only other thing is, before we move along to the backing track, there's a very slight difference between the, before it was a straight groove, a non-shuffle groove that we did on the minor, which went 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Now the ands, when you play a blues shuffle, are slightly different, and what they are, instead of being 1 and 2 and exactly divided between 2 beats, you actually play what's known as the first and last of a triplet. Okay, so if we have that like we had before, 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a, if you take the ones in the right hand, we take the middle note out of each group of 3. Okay, so just to recap, 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a. Now if we take out the middle one of each one, we get 1, 2, 3 and 4 and 2, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and when you play a shuffle, that's how they do. So normally if you see it in written music, they'll write it as a regular 1 and 2 and then they'll just put a little note at the top to say, and they put, you know, quaver equals triplet, and then basically what that means is when you play a shuffle groove or jazz or something like that, instead of being 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 2 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, what it is 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and it's like that. So in other words, just to give you a quick example, the crotchets or the quarter notes will be exactly the same, 1, 2, 3, 4, but the quavers or the eighth notes will be like this. And then when you mix that with the triplets, you'll have 1, 2, 3, 4. So a typical, a real typical eighth note, triplet eighth note lick would be something like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and I'm sure you've heard that a million times. And basically the difference would be, if I played it straight, if I just tapped my foot, 1, 2, 3, 4, straight would be 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and the swung version would be this, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so with that in mind, I'm going to do a demonstration to the major blues track now, using the triplets, the swung eighth notes, and also all the stuff that we did on the minor blues. Okay, the solo I played there was probably quite tricky, but what I wanted to demonstrate was the triplet revolving round and round and round, 1 and the 2 and the 3 and the 4 and a. Now, at that tempo, some of those licks might be quite difficult, so what we have to do to still use that triplet concept is to break them up, and obviously not just don't repeat them over and over again. And a way of doing that, for example, is if we had this lick, it goes doo-doo-doo-down. So we have 1 and a 2, 3, 4, 1 and a 2, 3, 4, 1 and a 2, 3, 4. Or we could do 2. Same with that lick. 1 and a 2, 3, 4. 1 and a 2, 3, 4. 1 and a 2 and a 3, 4. So in other words, if you're struggling with keeping these licks repeating, then don't worry, just play the first part. And so it's basically just like taking a short sprint, stopping, taking a short sprint, stopping. Okay? So just take that lick for example. 1 and a 2, 3, 4. 1 and a 2. And just play that part of it. Or any triplet lick that you might have. And I'm just going to show you one little run. I know sometimes I'll play things and you'll think, oh, I wish you know, you'd showed that. And I think there was one little run I played there. And this is a triplet run I use all the time for this type of thing. And basically I'm going, pulling off from 8 to 5 on the high E, bending up on the 8th fret B string, catching that 5 high E, and then pulling off from 8 to 5. Then I repeat the same idea on the next pair of strings. And then I repeat the same idea on the next pair of strings without the bend. And then resolve to the A. If you don't want to put the bends in, it's no problem. I've just got in the habit of doing that. Okay, so I'm going to play another solo now using all the concepts, using the 8th note quavers, the 8th note triplet feel, okay? Using the broken triplets. The run. Again, you can break that up. And then just using the other concepts, but instead of just revolving them round and round and round, breaking them up, and hopefully, you know, it's going to start to make sense now. And we're building, we've got quite a lot of stuff, and we've got quite a few licks, and we've got quite a lot of stuff that we can bung into our solo. Now, for me, what I would like you to go away and do is when you collect your licks, whether it be from my DVDs or Danny's or Richard's or any of the guys out there, or Jamie, you know, what I want you to do is every time you learn a lick from those guys, is I want you to analyse what the timing is. You know, is it a triplet? Is it a quaver? Is it a crotchet? What is it? What is the timing of that lick? And then you know what, you know, the backing tracks that you've got available to you, you know where you're going to be able to slot that in, okay? That's important. If you can imagine a little kid's thing, and there's the squares and the triangles and the round bits, and the kids try and put a square peg in a round hole, that's the thing. You've got to have your holes, and then you've got to find out the right shape, if you like, licks that will fit inside them, okay? So that's what I want you to do. So I'm going to go and play this demonstration now and hopefully show you how to break this stuff up and make it work. Okay, so we broke up quite a lot of stuff there. We had our licks like this. We broke up our run. And I think there was one that I did there, which I actually just did on the spot, but I thought it would be a great example for the triplet, which is just sliding up and playing this 9th fret on the G string and this 8th fret on the B string, and basically triplet lick. 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a... And you just shake it slightly, and then when the D chord came around, I moved up, exactly the same thing. And all I did was I just split the phrase up so it went 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 1 and a 2 and a 3, 4, just to let it breathe at the end. But as I say, there's a million combinations you can do with that type of thing. I could have gone 1 and a 2 and a 3, 4, 1 and a 2 and a 3, 4, 1 and a 4. Okay, so you can see how that works. So we've got a lot to play with here, lots of different licks, lots of different phrasing ideas, and basically what you want to do is, and I don't think I even ended up using that major third, but I will in a sec. So now I'm going to just show you a couple of ideas that you can do over the major third chord, over the A chord, using that major third, using the phrasing. So now what I'm doing there is just going between C and C sharp, and I'm going to use this F sharp here, okay, which will work in this blues, and then play 5 high E, 5 on the B, and then bend the 8B up a whole step. So we're playing 2 lots of triplets and then a bend, 1 and a 2 and a 3, 4, 1 and a 2 and a 3, 4, and that is our phrase. And what I did there was the same thing, hammering, then went 7, 5 on the D, then went down the blues scale. And another way of doing that would be go, which gives almost what they call a Mixolydian type sound, which I personally really like. There's another one using the triplet phrase, 1 and a 2 and 3, 4, 1 and a 2 and 3, 4. Okay, so I'm just going to do another demonstration using this major third and incorporating it into this triplet phrasing idea, plus all the stuff that we've done so far, and then hopefully we're still, we're getting quite advanced now, and we should have something down. Okay, a couple of points of interest in that solo. Another lick I came up with while I was actually in the middle of doing it. Triplet lick. 1 and a 2 and a 3 and 4. 1 and 2. It's hard to count and play, but basically it's 1 and a 2, 1 and a 2 and a 3 and 4. 1 and a 2 and a 3 and 4. Okay, so it's basically a triplet lick. And as I say, once I get into the mode of playing these different ideas, these licks just start coming out, and they will for you if you keep at it. Another one I did. 1 and a 2 and 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3, 4. Just another one, the one we did at the start. And that's how you build the solo. So I think we've come to a pretty logical conclusion, and you've got a lot of stuff that you can work on there, move it around the neck, do lots of things with it, lots of different ideas. Most importantly, I think that you need to get some sort of recording equipment, be it a Porter Studio, a computer setup, and you need to record these solos. I think it's very important to be able to improvise as much as you can, even from a simple point that we started with at the start of the DVD. But you need to be able to record these solos and listen back to them and try and pick out the things that you like and try and, basically throw in the bin the things that you don't like. The ear, for me, is a fascinating thing. I think that when we play guitar and we listen to ourselves, to some degree we can tell whether we're playing well or not, but I also think to some degree we can't. I think it's much easier to be able to listen to yourself playing when you're not actually playing it and be much more of a better critic. And I think that most people are going to be their most honest critic. When somebody else says something about your guitar playing, you don't know whether it's based on jealousy, you don't know whether it's what it's based on. They don't like you, anything, their girlfriend fancies you, who knows why people say the things they say. And so you really have to develop a critic within yourself, because you will be honest with yourself. There's no agendas. You will give yourself the correct criticism if you allow yourself to do it, and providing you're not full of whatever. Okay? So record yourself, be your own best critic, and that way you will definitely improve. And hopefully I've given you some good ideas that you can work with and some good phrases, and you're going to go away and be a better player, which is what we all want to be. I'll see you next time.